Welcome back to the Sarcastic Traveller's Guide, where we take you on a tour of the world's most overrated tourist spots. Today we're off to Barcelona, a city where you can stuff yourself with tapas, get lost in Gaudí's surreal architecture, and pretend that you actually enjoy flamenco. Ready to dive into the Catalonian chaos? Let's go. First stop, the world of Antoni Gaudí, Barcelona's beloved architect, known for his whimsical, wavy, and downright weird designs. If you want to fit in with the artsy crowd, you'll need to act like you get it. Start with La Sagrada Familia, the massive basilica that's been under construction since the late 1800s. You'll probably finish your entire vacation before they finish this building. Pro tip: when you see the Sagrada Familia, nod thoughtfully and say something like, "The way Gaudí fused Gothic and Art Nouveau styles here is simply visionary." Bonus points if you can throw in a word like trencadís, which is just a fancy term for broken tile mosaics. No one will question your expertise if you sound confident. And don't forget Park Güell, where you can roam around colourful mosaics and curvy structures that look like they came out of a Dr. Seuss book. Again, just smile and admire the organic shapes and natural integration with the environment. No need to mention that the place feels like an acid trip gone right. Next up, let's talk food, because in Barcelona it's all about the tapas. These small shareable dishes are perfect for trying a bit of everything, and by the end of the night you'll have no idea how much you've actually eaten. But that's okay, because you've got sangria to wash it all down. Pro tip: avoid the tourist traps on La Rambla. Yes, it's tempting to sit down at one of those overpriced cafes, but you're better off venturing into the side streets where the locals go. Order a variety of tapas, patatas bravas, jamón ibérico, croquetas, and make sure to say gracias instead of gracias to show off your Catalan language skills. And as for the sangria, pace yourself. It's sweet, it's fruity, and it'll sneak up on you faster than you can say salud. Just don't embarrass yourself by asking for more ice. Real sangria doesn't need it, and the waiter will definitely judge you for it. Speaking of La Rambla, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, you have to walk down this famous street, but no, you don't have to enjoy it. La Rambla is basically a parade of tourists, pickpockets, and overpriced souvenirs. But hey, it's tradition. Pro tip: keep your belongings close and your expectations low. La Rambla might be pretty, but it's also a hot spot for scams and overpriced everything. If you really want to experience it, do a quick stroll, take a few photos, and then escape to the quieter, more charming streets of the Gothic quarter. And if you're hungry, resist the urge to sit down at one of the restaurants with picture menu. You'll pay double for food that's half as good as what you'd find a few blocks away. Instead, grab a quick snack from one of the many street vendors and keep moving. You'll thank me later. The magic fountain of Montjuïc. It's one of those attractions that everyone tells you to see. And when you get there, you'll pretend it's the most magical thing you've ever witnessed. But deep down, you know it's just water and lights. Pro tip: arrive early to get a good spot. The magic fountain shows can get pretty crowded, and you don't want to be stuck in the back, craning your neck for a glimpse of the action. Once the show starts, appropriately, but not too enthusiastically, you're a seasoned traveller after all. And if you really want to impress your fellow tourists, casually mention that the fountain was originally built for the 1929 World's Fair. Drop a few more historical tidbits, and you'll sound like a fountain aficionado. Just don't admit that you're really just there for the Instagram photo. Barcelona's beaches are famous for their golden sands and sparkling Mediterranean waters. But before you grab your towel and head to the shore, remember, locals don't spend their time on the main tourist beaches like Barceloneta. Pro tip: skip Barceloneta and head to one of the quieter beaches like Bogatel or Marbella. You'll find fewer tourists, more locals, and a much more relaxed vibe. Plus, you won't have to worry about your stuff being swiped while you take a dip in the sea. And don't forget your beach essentials. sunscreen, sunglasses, and a good book to make it look like you're totally blending in. Just remember, topless sunbathing is common here, so don't act surprised. This is Europe after all. The Gothic quarter, or Barri Gothic, is the heart of old Barcelona. With its narrow winding streets and ancient buildings, it's the perfect place to get lost, and you probably will. But that's half the fun, right? Pro tip, forget the map and just wander. The Gothic quarter is full of hidden gems. Tiny squares, historic churches, and charming little shops. You'll stumble upon them when you least expect it, and that's when Barcelona will surprise you the most. And while you're there, don't miss the Barcelona Cathedral. It's not as famous as the Sagrada Familia, but it's just as impressive in its own way. Take a moment to appreciate the Gothic architecture. And if you're feeling brave, climb to the top for some killer views of the city. Even if you're not a soccer or football, as they say in Europe, fan, you'll probably end up at Camp Nou, the home of FC Barcelona. And when you do, you'll need to fake some enthusiasm for the beautiful game. Pro tip, learn a few key facts about Barça before you go. Mention players like Lionel Messi and Andres Iniesta, and you'll sound like a pro. Even if you have no idea what a tiki-taka is, just nod and smile when the tour guide explains it. And don't forget to pick up some Barça gear from the gift shop. A jersey or scarf will make you look like a true fan, and you'll blend in perfectly with a sea of blue and red. Just don't wear it to a Real Madrid game, unless you're looking for trouble. When, in Barcelona, catching a flamenco show is almost a rite of passage. But before you go, remember that clapping on beat is harder than it looks. And looking interested for an hour straight can be exhausting. Pro tip, pick a smaller, more intimate venue for your flamenco experience. The big touristy shows are fine, but the smaller ones give you a more authentic feel and a better chance of catching the passion behind the dance. Plus, you'll have fewer people to impress with your rhythmic clapping. And when the dancers start stomping and twirling, make sure to look amazed, like you totally get the cultural significance of every move. Even if you're just counting down the minutes until it's socially acceptable to sneak out. At least pretend you're into it. It's all part of the Barcelona experience. Montjuïc Hill offers some of the best views of Barcelona, but there's a catch. You've got to get to the top first. Sure, there's a cable car, but where's the fun in that? Let's pretend you actually enjoy walking uphill for once. Pro tip, if you're feeling ambitious, take the walk up Montjuïc. The path winds through gardens, past historic buildings, and up to the castle at the top. Along the way, you'll get plenty of opportunities to stop and admire the view, which is code for catching your breath. And once you reach the top, reward yourself with a panoramic view of the city that's totally worth the effort. If anyone asks, just tell them you took the hike because you're all about that authentic experience. The cable car is for tourists, right? Let's wrap things up with a trip to the Picasso Museum. Even if you're not an art aficionado, you can't visit Barcelona without paying homage to Pablo Picasso, one of the most famous artists in history. And if you don't get his art, don't worry, you're not alone. Pro tip, when you're wandering through the Picasso Museum, just nod thoughtfully at each painting and mutter something like, his blue period really captures the essence of human despair. Even if you have no idea what that means, it'll make you sound sophisticated. And if you're really lost, just focus on the famous works like Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. Snap a few photos, buy a postcard in the gift shop, and you're good to go. After all, it's not about understanding Picasso's genius. It's about convincing others that you do. If you're looking to escape the city for a day, Montserrat is the perfect destination. It's just a short train ride from Barcelona, but it feels like a world away, complete with stunning mountain views, a monastery, and some fresh air. Pro tip, take the cable car up to the monastery for the best views, and then explore the hiking trails that wind through the mountains. You can visit the famous Black Madonna statue and even catch a performance by the boys' choir if you time it right. And don't forget to try the local delicacy, mató, a fresh cheese served with honey. It's the perfect snack after a day of hiking, and it's much more satisfying than the overpriced sandwiches you'll find back in Barcelona. Last but not least, let's head to the Raval, Barcelona's edgier, more alternative neighborhood. The Raval is full of street art, quirky shops, and a mix of cultures that makes it one of the most vibrant areas in the city. Pro tip, keep your wits about you while you explore the Raval. It's a bit rough around the edges, but that's part of its charm. Check out the street art, pop into a few vintage shops, and maybe grab a drink at one of the trendy bars that are popping up all over the place. And if you're feeling adventurous, visit the Museum of Contemporary Art, which is right in the heart of the Raval. It's full of thought-provoking exhibits that will make you question everything, or at least give you something to talk about at dinner later. And there you have it, your extended sarcastic survival guide to Barcelona. Whether you're dodging pickpockets on La Rambla, faking your way through a Gaudí tour, or just trying to survive the Sangria hangover, Barcelona has something for everyone. So like, subscribe, and drop a comment below with your most sarcastic travel tip. And remember, in the city of sun, tapas, and surreal architecture, it's all about living la vida sarcástica. Hasta luego, travelers.